I mean, that's my dream. If I could just hop in a little motorhome or trailer behind the truck and, drive to a music festival, set up, sell some koozies, listen to some music, and then drive to a beer fest the next weekend. Like, if I can make that happen and convince the wife that's a good idea, we'll be doing that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Beer Inside. Today we are returning to the virtual encounters of All Beer Inside. I'm your not so humble host, Carb, and joining me today is George, the CEO of Brewski Blazers.
Hey, Carb, thanks for having me, man.
Hey, man. Appreciate anybody who's willing to take out the time to talk about their passion for when it comes to craft beer or anything in the beer industry as a whole.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you taking time out of your clearly very busy schedule from what I've seen of other things. So. As we've been doing on all virtual and real life episodes, we're going to share a beer. So let my audience know what you're drinking on your end.
Nice. Today I am drinking, it's Apex Predator is the brewing company. Actually, I was born in a small town, Edson, Alberta, and this is the home brewer there. They started a couple of years ago. This is an India Pale Ale, White Raven. It's pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I am having, I believe they're available across Canada now from Collective Arts. Okay. I have the Cherry Pie Sour Imperial Fruited Pastry Sour.
You pour that in a glass then, Carp? Is that your?
I do pour in a glass. Okay. It's in my nature. I'm
a koozie guy, so I put them in koozies. Do people seem to get mad at me when I don't pour craft beers in the glasses? Like, you're not airing it out properly.
It's a whole wine thing. So as we do on the show, we do. Oh, whenever you're ready. There we go.
Okay.
Virtual a toast.
Cheers.
Yeah, I can't get it clean. Ooh.
Is that your first time having that beer?
It is, and this is delicious.
Nice.
Wow. Oh my gosh. It tastes like a slightly sour cherry pie.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
This one is, like I said, is from Edson. So it was I think we were at like Earl's or something, and they finally added some craft beers. I'm like, oh, and Edson. So this was like the first one I ever tried from these guys. I'm like, oh, this is sweet. This is a good beer.
Yeah, no, the like we mentioned pre-show, the craft beer expansion across Canada is great. So for those of us who enjoy craft beer or beer in general, it's very helpful.
Oh,
and then some of us, I'm also trying cider nowadays. It's just we're very spoiled where we live in North America for very tasty alcoholic beverages, which makes Canada sound like a bunch of drunks. So
right.
Oh, awesome. So I came across you on Facebook through a Facebook ad, and I'm like, hey, this guy sounds pretty cool. So I'd like to know your story. I personally read it, but for those who don't know, what's the story behind Brewski Blazers?
So it would have been back. I was living in Fort St. John, kind of northern BC. We were on like a riverboat poker rally, and we were just drinking beers, flying up the river all day, and it was a great day. We showed up at this campsite. There's this guy holding on to this koozie and had a beer. And I'm like, oh man, that like my beer was getting a little bit warm. Like, this would be perfect. So I'm like, hey man, can I give you like $5 for that koozie? He's like, nah. So I'm like, okay, like $10. No, I'm keeping it. I'm like, all right, fine. So I had another beer. And then later on, I was like, all right, I'll give you $20 and a full beer for that koozie. And he's like, okay, sure. Gave me the koozie. And then he pulled out the exact same one from his cooler. So he had two of them already. So I was like, oh, great. And so that was like my first koozie of the collection. And that's would have been back in 2010, I think it was. And then I just kind of realized that like, oh, so every time I use this koozie, I'm like, oh, I remember the riverboat poker rally and the nice day and flying up the river on a jet boat. And so then I'm like, I just started collecting koozies everywhere I went. Like, we just go trips and camping and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is a cool koozie. And it's blossomed into we just passed 2,800 koozies in the collection now. So it's definitely taking over the basement here. And then
I mean, you could see just a small fraction of what you have in your background. So.
Oh man, it's tough every day trying to pick which koozie to use for my beer. But then a couple years ago, we're like, there's so many amazing koozies out there. Let's make our own and try to take like the best features of some koozies and apply them, and then team up with some local makers. And so we started doing that early 2019, and pandemic kind of slowed us down this year though. Just actually a couple months ago, we were able to do Beer Fest in Calgary and Edmonton. They were able to have that going. I'm like, okay, this is our customer base. This is the scene we want to be on. So we're pretty excited to see how everything works out now, but so far so good.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, the whole concept, the show itself, we're always like support local. And we said like, you might not drink beer, but somebody in your life does.
Yeah.
So go to a brewery, get a gift card, get some, oh, look, this beautiful hoodie that this place has, buy it. Like,
yeah,
we can continue supporting these places while
breweries have like some of the best swag too. It seems like you go in there like, oh, wow, I need this shirt and I need this hat. And yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of crap for having too many t-shirts. So
right.
and then there's buying my own t-shirts for all beer related items. This is a pro wrestling beer related t-shirt that I bought. I mean,
wow, that's a collaboration.
Yeah, it's quite well. It's this group called the Bouncers, and one guy is the Beer City Bruiser, and he is from Milwaukee, and he comes to the ring with a big keg, and yeah, it's
I'm guessing he bashes people with the keg too. Then
he tends to. When he's a bad guy, when he's a good guy, not so much. But it is quite the interesting world, and having previously spoken with 2 independent U.S. wrestlers who are into craft beer, it's like how everybody loves craft and supporting local and stuff is always like super cool, I find. So yeah.
What's your koozie situation, and do you use them? Like I know you're really into the beer scene.
So I have 2 where I have a Habs one because I'm Montreal.
Right.
I'm a Habs fan naturally, and I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. And I got them on, I think they're called hockey socky, and they're actually gloves with the koozie inside.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got 2 of those. I've actually used them during live sporting events because holding a beer at a U.S. football game in a bare hand is freezing. So
is that like a giant, like these kind of ones you're talking about?
No, they're just small gloves. You can see the Habs one in the middle. So it's a glove like this.
Yeah.
And then I just put my beer in.
Put your beer in there and you're committed to a beer. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So these are my outdoor ones. And then my other ones, I do have like a steel glass that looks like a can. And I actually put the koozie, that steel glass inside the koozie to keep my beer cooler during the summer when I'm playing sports and things like that. So it's minimal, but I am seeing some CFL ones behind you. So now I got to find my Alouettes one because I don't have one. And
I got the full NFL collection I bought from a guy on Kijiji a couple years ago, and I was able to buy the CFL. Well, actually, just independently from different guys, get the CFL collection. My poker buddies bought me like the whole NHL collection, and so it's really expanding for sure.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, 2,800, and you mentioned on your vlog, you're attempting to be certified as the world record holder of koozies.
Yeah. So the world record is like 2,739. They call them stubby holders because there's a guy in Australia that has the record. And so I just applied, and they're like, 'cause as soon as we pass something, this is exciting. So now I just need to make a video, kind of get a couple witnesses and independently do every koozie here. So that's the plan this winter, is to have that going and then put a big plaque up somewhere, I guess.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you sell them too, right? So where did that kind of come along? Is that we're going to start making our own and selling them as well?
Yeah. I just wanted, like, there was some versions that I'm like, I want to have like a tall can version that's neoprene. There's just some's on the market. You just find like real cheap kind of junky ones that end up just being throwaway koozies for a lot of people, or give them to me koozies. It seems like people like to dump them off on me, but so like, let's just make the best versions of koozies we can. So like, we just teamed up. These are some of our newer ones. They got like a zipper on the back, like the zipper glows in the dark, and then like it's made for your tall cans. So we're just like working with different creators. Like, oh, actually, I forgot about this one too. This one, we're getting into like some 3D printing now.
Yeah.
I just want to have like the best version of a koozie that someone would be proud to be using all the time, you know?
We do have quite the collection. I mean, everything from leather ones to like the ones you mentioned with the zippers. I saw they look almost like old school flannel stitched ones with pictures of animals, like the sloth and a deer on them. It's quite the creativity that you come along with getting your own koozies out there, like what you would prefer and what somebody else would like. So
we find like just people that are really like, there's some crafters in the city and some knitters that are making like toques and stuff. I'm like, hey, love your style. Could you make this toque, but instead of your head, we'll just put a beer in it? And they're like, yeah, we can make this happen. And so we got so many in the pipeline now that we're working on. And like, as craft beer and craft breweries explode, especially in Alberta, man, is Montreal blowing up too? Like,
oh yeah. I mean, a bunch of them just celebrated like 2 and 3 year anniversaries because of hey, we're open. Oh, the pandemic, we're closed. But I don't know about Alberta. I know the province of Ontario, the craft breweries were allowed to deliver. Quebec, we have some wacky backwards rules when it comes to alcohol, where the best you could do is order from, in our case, like a convenience store, a dépanneur, as it's called. We had beer dépanneurs, which would deliver.
Okay.
But nothing from a brewery itself. I would actually have to order, go there, mask up, wait in line and stuff. And during the winter, it's not as nice.
Right.
When the pandemic first started, obviously back in March, it's like, well, where the hell am I going to get my beer? Thankfully, hopeful future interview at Boutique Cheers, not too far away. They gave me like a 2-hour window when they deliver my beers. So, I mean, I was happy about that because I could get variety. Yeah. But I was kind of upset at the same time when I have friends in Ontario who are literally an hour and change away getting beers from, people in Ottawa getting beers from Thunder Bay. And it'd be like you in Edmonton getting beers from Fort McMurray or something. It's not easy. So, but most of these guys survived, and I'm very happy about that. So
it seems like it's going good, and like it seems like a lot of our like main liquor stores too are really expanding like the craft beer section. Like they're shrinking a lot of the other stuff, and then it's like, oh, there's a full aisle dedicated to Alberta craft beers and Canadian craft beers. So, and I saw something today. Actually, I was just reading it that there's a 7-Eleven in Edmonton that's selling craft beer now too. So that expansion is happening, man. It's exciting.
Yeah, no, I love it. And being somebody who, like we said, is supporting local businesses, that's what we're about. You even, like, let's say, somebody's granny's making toques. It's like, hey, how about I throw you a few bucks and make a koozie cooler for me? So it's all about us supporting local. Obviously, we're very adamant about that as Canadians. I'm not sure about you. I know a lot of people on my Facebook are like, oh, I'm never going to buy from overseas again. I'm like, dude, I've been at you for 10 years now. Like,
yeah, so. It's definitely the more we can do just locally, the better off we are, like in the long run. But I know it's tough because then everyone is sourcing. Like, I don't want to get too much into it, but it's it's hard to find the something that people would pay for that you can afford to make in Canada, whereas like, oh, I can pay for it and it'll be a third of the price it's from China. Be like, well, I know it's from China, but it's like pay the extra maybe 3 times, maybe it is 3 times or 4 times more expensive, but you're supporting like a local company or a local starter entrepreneur. So
at least when it comes to beer, it's a lot easier. They get like, I know a lot of breweries here, they've been getting their malts stuff from Alberta or Quebec or so, but when it comes to making items like yourself, I'm not going to lie. I buy knockoff NFL and NHL jerseys all the time. I'm sorry, I can't afford $200 to support a team where I can afford $35. And if it falls apart after one season, I can buy another one. Or if the guy gets traded, I could buy another one.
Right. So, you're not too attached to it.
No, I'm realistic about my shopping, but I will say like at least solid 80% of my purchasing is all local, and it's 100% when it comes to beer. So it's very rare that I'll buy from one of the big boys. As Drew from Kanawaki put it, your BMCs, your Bud Most and Coors. It's very rare that I'll buy from those publicly traded massive companies now. So
no one's ever going to see you walking around with a Bud Light?
It will happen when I'm doing stuff like, I'm hoping, because things are a little more reopened now in Canada. I used to do this thing called bar games where we get together, we'd play beer pong, foosball, and pool. Nice. So you'll catch me drinking at pictures of like Bud Light or Molson Canadian or something, but because my local bar doesn't have craft beer on tap. It's that simple. So
okay, gotcha.
It's just if I have the option, it's going to be craft beer. That's right. But if I get drunk enough, then there's no problem. I'll be like, I don't taste stuff right now. And at 42, I shouldn't be doing that as often, but it does happen on occasion where I will drink bad beer. It's just few and far between nowadays.
Gotcha. Okay.
Brewski Blazers, where does that come from? Like, what made you decide that? Not like, George's koozies or something along those lines.
We actually started out as the Koozie Empire. And so that was like what we started the branding at. And apparently the name koozie is trademarked. Okay. And so Bic bought like the trademark for it. And so we started everything going with Koozie Empire. And then we were approached by Bic saying, hey, that's our name. Don't use it or we're going to sue you. So we're like, okay. So we just bounced around a bunch of ideas. We had like, can pants and thousands of different names. And then we just like Brewski Blazers. That sounds good. And it's kind of like, I don't know. We just tied it in. My wife, she's like my partner with this, so she's the graphic designer. So we made the logo and just went from there. And Brewski Blazers is where we're going with her.
I mean, even some of your early designs, they almost look like somebody would be wearing a blazer.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
exactly. It does like fit that pretty well. But I mean, just your expansion, like you obviously have the bottles, the cans, the tall, the slims.
Yeah.
But the wood, I mean, where does that come from? All of a sudden, you're just like, yeah, let's make an old school carved out wooden one. Like,
yeah, we have a guy we work with. He actually makes his own. They're called well designed wood, and so we've teamed up with him. We got another batch being ordered right now. So he puts a resin in the bottom. We're putting, I think these ones are gonna be made from Douglas fir too. Put a little clip in the bottom that has like our logo on it, and then it has little hand grips on the side, so you can like grip the side of the wood. So super excited about that. That was like, we sold out of those at Beer Fest. We weren't sure because I mean, we were selling for like $55. And so like, that's a commitment to a koozie. And like they sold out in the first day. We're like, okay, this is okay. This people like this idea then. Cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like that they actually have that where it's like, hey, let's have the variety of, let's have like the specialized expensive ones. It's almost like, and you do have subscription as well. So like, I know a lot of breweries are doing like mug clubs, and this is kind of like your version of that too. So.
Right. Yeah. We're actually in talks with a couple guys that are doing kind of like a subscription beer box. They're getting that up and running that we'd have Brewski Blazers featured in too. So excited to see where that ends up.
That's awesome. I mean, it's from just the website and all your vlogs and everything, just the explosion of everything that's coming your way is amazing to see. And
yeah,
it was kind of like, when you think about a viable business to have during the pandemic, where you could just make them from home and ship them,
right?
Make them somewhere else and then do everything at home. So, and in the meantime, you got your vlog where people are shipping you koozies to add to your collection.
That's the most fun part.
Yeah. What made you decide? And obviously your son, Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your son, like having him, and it's like, hey, buddy, check out this koozie. Well, daddy plays with all his toys. So
right, exactly,
what made you decide, like, I need to do unboxing vlogs, I need to get my YouTube up going? Like, what kind of keeps you going creatively this way?
Yeah, I'm so passionate about koozies. I don't know, like it's hard to explain almost. Like people, I'm known as the koozie guy now, which I don't know if that's like a good thing, but I just like when I see like a cool koozie that someone's using, even at their house, like I see you like have that Montreal one and stuff, like, oh, cool. Like, I don't have like a glove one. I got to try to find something like that now.
That was a Christmas present from mom from a place, and they were like on sale on Boxing Day last year for like $20.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's what I love. Like each one has its story. So then when people are mailing me these koozies too, like the last ones I got, there's like a card in it, and it's like each koozie has like a little story of where they got it from and kind of their history behind it. And so like there's 2,800 koozies in this room. I've used them all, and each of them has a little story to it. So I put them on the website with like the date and the place where I got them. But it's just something about it. It's like I picked this one up and I'm kind of like taken back to that spot. Like, oh, I got this. We did a trip to Australia back in 2019, I guess it would have been, kind of like a koozie tour. We toured around in like a camper van for a month and like visited some guys that had like some huge collections and did some trading. And Australia, every bar you go to, everyone's using a koozie there and like walking around the street. Like it's just natural. So I'm hoping that'll happen in Canada at some point too.
Well, I know in the softball league I played in a couple of years ago, it was, a lot of the old school guys there in their 50s and stuff who only drank Bud or 50, which is ironic because they're in their 50s and they're drinking 50, which I always find funny. But they're all like hardcore NFL guys. And during the end of the season, when the NFL coming around, everybody's, one guy has his Bengals, one guy has his 49ers. I bring out my Green Bay Packers. It's like, a friendly little fun rivalry. At the same time, I'm like, yeah, but I'm drinking good beer and you guys are drinking garbage. Right.
Silently judging you.
Although next season I will be back to drinking bad beer, knock on wood, hopefully. So, because, thankfully the world's reopening a lot more and things are back kicking up. So I know here in Quebec, it's like, okay, well, you want to have your family, just be careful. That's all the government wants. And I have no problem being careful. So
I'm hoping we're heading in that direction too. I know like the plan initially when we'd signed up for some beer fests and different festivals, and they all kind of got shut down in 2020. So we're just kind of on hold. And then this fall beer fest happened. So we did both of those and we're like, okay, perfect. This is where we want to be. So next year we want to just tour around beer fest in Alberta and BC, and then go to like some music festivals, like set up for a 3-day music festival or something. And I mean, that's my dream. If I could just hop in a little motorhome or trailer behind the truck and, drive to a music festival, set up, sell some koozies, listen to some music, and then drive to a beer fest the next weekend. Like, if I can make that happen and convince the wife that's a good idea, we'll be doing that.
Yeah, that's kind of my penultimate beercation win the Lotto Max tonight type of thing is get that RV, start in St. John's, make my way out to Vancouver, and just hit breweries and interviews and meet business people like yourself, and obviously people who are passionate about beer, influencers, and just across Canada and back. Obviously, when you're rich, you don't have to worry about working, right? So
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's like
how can you make that happen? Can you make that happen somehow? I want to see that happen.
If there's some sort of deity up there who decides I should be a millionaire, then by all means. But
I wonder if you could team up. There's got to be some way you could team up with some breweries that were like, okay, you come by here, we'll buy you a tank of gas, then you go to the next one, and
Well, I know if it's an RV, I got to park near a local Walmart and then drive to the brewery because some breweries, like some in Montreal, you're not getting an RV up some of our main arteries. It's just not going to happen. I know Alberta, the last time I was there, or at least Calgary, the last time I was there, the city's kind of like very separate. So that's I mean,
it would be a little tough to get a motorhome in a lot of spots, but hey, if there's a will, I'm sure you can make it happen.
Yeah. And money is always a main factor. That's another thing I'd like to ask. Like, obviously you've been to Australia for the business part, but to go on like that koozie / beer vacation, what are a couple that, when it's a lot more safer to travel across the world again, what are like one or two beercations you'd love to do?
We did a beercation. I guess you call it beercation. We went to Vietnam and Thailand in 2018.
Wow.
And did like a little tour around there. And man, I would love to go back to Vietnam. Just fell in love with that country when we were there. You mentioned Canada. That's one thing. Like, we've done a lot of traveling. We did a month in Europe, backpacking stuff too, but I haven't really explored further east than Saskatchewan. So I would love to do a trip out east and, try some breweries and tour around there. And that would be that's on the list of things to do for sure.
Oh, I know you also still drink macro a lot. But
people yell at me when I do that too.
But do you feel you get recommended craft beer more, or you're able to recommend craft beer to people?
I know I was watching some of your interviews and stuff. I know I don't have the palate that you have. Like, you're like, I like the specific hops and stuff. Whereas for me, I'm like, I like all beer. Haven't been too many beers I've said no to. But still, if I go to a spot, I'm usually I'm not the guy recommending which beer to have,
But so was there like one of those kind of intro, let's say an IPA, because you say you're drinking an IPA right now.
Yeah.
Right. What was like one of that kind of those first craft beers where you're like, hey, beer can have flavor. Beer's tasty.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I was in school. I'm an electrician by day. So I was in electrical school, and I was doing a lot of going to a lot of patios after school was over. And it just turned out there was so many different craft beers at these patios. And so I created this little app too. It's called Patio Buzz, and it just links all the patios in Edmonton. And so it gave me an excuse to go and try out all these different patios. And I would just go, each patio I'd go to, okay, let's try whatever kind of craft beer they have here. So that was kind of I guess my real, kind of got away from, the Bud Lights and Budweiser and all that stuff. And okay, I'm trying more local beer. And then after that, I mean, it just seemed like it was more accessible. I don't know if it was, or if I just noticed it more, but it just seemed like everywhere I went, it's I can, rather than getting a 2-4 of this, I can get a 4-pack of this craft beer made here. Let's try this one out. Yeah. So I think it's just, for me personally, it was just, okay, I see it more, I'm around it more, and so I'm just drinking it more.
But it sounds like you are enjoying it at the same time of, I mean, you created an app to experience the patios in Edmonton. Not too many people are going to do that. So.
I mean, the Patio Buzz app was a great excuse to go out and drink beers on patios. The Brewski Blazer company is a great excuse to try beers in different koozies. So I'm kind of trying to combine my loves to maybe make a little bit of money and, enjoy things.
No, I mean, it's the same thing when I spoke with Trey from Conspiracy Glasswork. You could tell, I have a passion in creating glassware. This is actually my full-time job now. It's selling, it's such a niche product when you think about it. Like koozies too, having not many people might collect their own sports team, but they're never going to get other sports teams. They're never going to get, the local brewery because there's not a lot of breweries that make them. They're not going to buy other koozies. So just your passion with your koozies and creating them and selling them at the same time is almost like Trey's with Conspiracy Glasswork out of Georgia. It's like I want people to like see my beautiful art and also enjoy something local when they're doing it. So
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
it's amazing that everybody I've spoken to, you just hear the passion behind their voice and what they do when it comes to either Instagram, Facebook, business, making beers at breweries. It's people's creativity. It's art and science put together, and obviously that's where it's all coming from. So.
Yeah. I know I'm at work, like a commercial electrician. I'm doing like lights in the grocery store, but the whole time I'm there, I'm thinking of like, oh, this would be a cool koozie idea, or oh, I could do this with koozies. Like I'm not really passionate about electrical, and so it's just I get home like, okay, now I can do what I want to do, sort of thing.
I may suggest batteries in a koozie, but definitely not a koozie you can plug in. I could see you getting sued for something.
Right.
Somebody else shouldn't be doing with that koozie. So just a suggestion.
Yeah, I found this one in Australia when we were there. It's got lights in the bottom of it, so you can put like a bottle in, and then it changes colors too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I was like, that's like a next level design. Like Australia makes the best versions of koozies. So all the ones like when we were down there, I got like 250 new ones, just in trades and stuff. And so we're like going through like, okay, so they have this kind of stitching. Let's add this to a koozie then. So yeah, that's where we're expanding.
I have a feeling Australia's summers are like Canada's winters, or their summer is 9 months a year and our winter is 9 months a year. So obviously when you're warm 90% of the year, you want to keep your beer cool in a koozie. So that, like almost when you think about almost correlating the data, it makes complete sense. So
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So obviously you've been selling and even expanding your own collection. Any kind of like weird or funny or frustrating stories that you could put behind either a koozie here or a sales there?
I know, like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's frustrating, but like we were at Beer Fest a couple months ago. The whole time I'm there, people are just wanting to buy beer from us. So everyone that comes up to like, they have like tickets. Oh, what kind of beers do you like? We have like this cool display, and we have like these cans are like spray painted funky and stuff. And I lost my voice after 3 days of yelling at people saying, no, we don't sell beer. We just sell koozies. It worked out good though. People are like, oh, these are just koozies. And then they kind of, oh, okay, koozies. Sweet. So I think that's like the biggest hurdle we've had so far is like, okay, how do we get people interested in koozies? Like, all right, how does this become a beer accessory? So we met with some local brewers in Edmonton here. And we're just trying to figure out like, what would make people, especially like someone like yourself who's big into craft beer, what makes them want to use a koozie? Why would they use a koozie? And it kind of turned out like sporting events. If you can take like a craft beer into sporting events would be great. Like the 4-packs of craft beer, if you had like a koozie that can kind of facilitate something like that. So we had like mix and max your beer when you bring it out. So I think that's the direction we're trying to head now, is more into like, how can we enter this craft beer market, teaming up with some breweries and having like some collaboration koozies with them on the list of things we're doing. So that's our sales pitch at the moment.
So I love to talk about that. You just mentioned it, some collabs. Like, what are some kind of local Edmonton or Alberta breweries that you'd love to collab on, like a specialized coolie with? Obviously with Apex, I saw like it looked like a crow on it.
Yeah, a raven, white raven.
So like, could you see you guys like collabing on making like that beautiful white raven as a koozie where you're making it for them and they're selling it? And also, but they also made a collab with this brewery. So you're selling your koozies at both breweries at the same time. Like, and feel free to mention names of places you love to go to. What are some collabs you'd love to do when it comes to making koozies?
There's some like, I know I really appreciate, I know it sounds weird because I have a koozie that covers up a lot of the beer can. So like you hiding the art, but I love like some of the art on beer cans too. So when I see like a can that has like some really cool art, like Sea Change Brewery in Edmonton here, they make like some really nice looking cans. And so love to like do a collab with a company like that like appreciates that artwork, that could perhaps somehow my latest idea I'm working on right now is designing like a koozie, like you say, like if I had the White Raven on this can,
Yeah.
but then it's kind of like cut out of the koozie. So when you put the can into the koozie, then like you'd see the White Raven from the can sticking through. So something like that. But there's, like I was saying, there's so many awesome breweries in Edmonton here. I'm open to collab with any of them, but we're just trying to figure out, like, I think there's a difference between just ordering a bunch of koozies and then having like, okay, let's make this an event. So let's have a party where, let's say you have a special cast night or you're releasing a new beer. We'll release a koozie that night also that matches the beer, and it's like limited edition. That's kind of what we're going for with a lot of our stuff too, is like we teamed up with a leather maker in the city here. We made 11 koozies. They're all number stamped, like limited edition sort of drops. Whereas, you know, you have one night to come down and get this beer and get this koozie collab, and then it's gone for good, sort of thing. So yeah,
I'm a limited edition type of guy when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's like, for example, the real one German beer stein I have, needless to say, through sports, the guy's like, yeah, I'm going to Germany for business. I heard you love craft beer. Would you like a stein? I'm like, hell yeah, I'd love a stein. He comes back, it's like number 300 of 500. It costs this much. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm like, I can't drink out of this. Yeah. It's too nice.
Do not drop it.
So, you know, have you ever thought about, like, if you were to do something like that, as you know, it's just a quick throw out there, but have like number one in like almost like a neoprene glass type thing and put it on your wall and be like, this was the one of 5,000 that I sold and things like that.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to grab this thing for you.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this one is in glass. This, I can even pull it out of here.
Yeah.
It's not like a real like special brand or anything, but so we had
choice. It almost looks like PC on the logo. Okay, King Cobra, nice.
Premium malt liquor. So I had like, when was this? This was probably like 2017 or something. I had 950 koozies, and so I'm like, let's have a 1,000th koozie party. And so to get into the party, you had to bring a koozie. And so we wrapped all the koozies in like brown paper bags, put them in boxes, and then just drew. And so like, okay, this is koozie 985. And then for every fifth, there'd be like a prize came out. And then this one happened to be koozie number 1,000. And so it was actually my mother-in-law who had donated this one. And so she got like a free tablet, and we had like a Texas Mickey and stuff. So that's like, I guess the one I have that's like in a display that's like, okay, I'll bring it out on very special occasions, you know.
That's amazing. And you know, I can hear the passion about koozies behind your voice, and obviously everything I see. So that's fantastic that you have that. And it's very rare that somebody will have something that to commit to for as long as you have.
I know.
And just keep going and going and going. And I'm sure there's probably 1 million plus koozies out there. It's just a matter of how many can I go until there'll never be no more, because there'll be a new brewery, or there'll be a new sports thing, or there'll be, you know, like I know the Alouettes, they've gone through 5 logos in the last 27 years. It's like, oh, well, you got to get one for each one.
Yes.
At least with the Montreal Canadiens, it's been the same C with the H in the middle for beyond my age. So it's a little easier.
I try not to do like, that's the other thing too, is I don't want to go and like, okay, go to a dollar store and there's, you know, buy 10 koozies with different logos on. Like, I want to have each one of them to be like, okay, this one I got at a secondhand store at a little town in BC we were driving through on a camping trip or something, you know, rather than like bulk buying to build the collection.
Yeah, I do that with thrift stores, trying to find like special beer glasses. I've probably got 200-300 beer glasses.
Oh
personally.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, there's some that it's like it's too nice to drink from. I mean, I have that Viking drinking horn back there I've never used, because it's just like, it's beautiful. Why am I going to use it? So
yeah.
And then every beer festival, I'm sure when you went to the Edmonton Beer Festival, it's like, well, here's the tasting glass. Yeah. And I've been going to the beer festivals here in, at least in Montreal and surrounding areas for the last, obviously minus pandemic, the last 15 years. So it's like, I've got 15 taster glasses, and then it's like, oh, there's another beer festival. Oh, there's another one. Oh, I went to Ottawa. Oh, I went here. So it's, I can't even keep them all out. I got to wrap them up and put them in bins and stuff. It's bad. So.
I'm getting to the point too, where like I have this one room really dedicated to it. And now we've kind of expanded into the living room in the basement, and then I got like a little display in the garage. But I mean, I can't take over the full house with koozies. Like the wife's not going to be down with that. So we're talking
you
about
have your son sleeping on koozies in his
right.
bed.
Yeah, we had the little thing that spins above his bed there.
Yeah.
And we attach koozies to that, and so he loves watching those spin around.
Well, I think it was the Lions when you gave him his eyes were like, oh man, this looks awesome. So
yeah.
it's great that you kind of when you think about it, you're hoping that you're like, hey kid, this is yours one day.
This can all be yours. Can you imagine? Yeah. He uses a koozie now too, because he's just started teething, so he'll like suck on like a cold water bottle or something. But we don't want his hands to get cold, so he'll put like a koozie around it, and he'll hold on to the koozie and suck the bottle. This kid gets it. Like he's on it already. This is perfect.
He's obviously genetically yours.
Right. So. Yeah, that's been proven now. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I mean, what's next for Brewski Blazers as a brand?
Well, we want to collab. That's the thing we're going to get into now. We're getting into stores too. So I've been making some of those like wooden displays and stuff. So we sent some down to Calgary. There's going to be set up in stores there. Liquor stores on the list of things we want to get into too. It's just most of the stuff we're doing is real, like I said, like limited edition, small batch stuff. So like to get into a big liquor store is like, well, it's hard to figure out how we're going to sell that. But this summer, at least 2022, we're really hoping we can do just a bunch of beer fests and some music festivals throughout BC and Alberta here, and kind of go from there. And then every day just dreaming up new designs. We just have a new one that is being made right now that I think is going to be the best one we ever made. So I mean that's where we're heading right now, is that stores. And then if I could quit being an electrician and just focus on koozies, then I'm in heaven. But we'll see how that goes.
I mean, Trey from Conspiracy Glassworks was able to do it. I'm sure if you found obviously financially viable way to do it yourself, I'm sure you do it. So it's just like, this is the reason I have to interview you in the nighttime, is we both have weekday jobs. That's why my normal interviews might come out Friday at noon, but I actually interview breweries on Saturdays and Sundays because I need a paycheck to survive. So, but I'm sure, I mean, I don't know how your numbers are. I'm not going to ask you that, something for yours, but with everything I see you coming out with, obviously people are grabbing stuff. You're not just going to have a garage full of excessive koozies that are for your own personal collection. So
it's been working good. And I just like, we did some farmers markets this year, and it was like a little slow. And I was like, I don't know, like, are we doing the right thing? Like, is this going to work out? And so then we were just kind of waiting on Beer Fest. And when Beer Fest happened, okay, if Beer Fest works out good, then we'll keep expanding, keep going. If not, then maybe we'll pivot and try something else. And Beer Fest was like, okay, yeah, this is where we want to be. Perfect. Let's keep heading this direction then. So
yeah, you gotta find your channel and keep swimming.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like you kind of mentioned, like it's niche, like it's such a niche version of the beer market too. And so just to like toss it on, everyone, like most people are not going to be interested in a koozie, but if you find like those people that are, and then are passionate about and kind of realize, okay, cool. Then it's like, okay, these are our people.
And I know for your personal collection, you're always looking for new ones. So is there some sort of list where people could look and be like, oh, I have, for example, let's say, because I'm supposed to go to Ontario sometime this week, and I see one that I'm assuming you don't have. Do you have a list where I could check if you have it, and then if not, I could just send it to you by Canada Post in an envelope type of thing? Or
you can go to like, if you go to brewskiblazers.com and then you go to the Brewski Blazer headquarters and go in there, I have pictures of each one of them with a description, and then like try to like categorize. So it's like, oh, CFL teams, you can click and see all the CFL teams I have. So that's one way. I make sure I do that with every koozie I get, take a picture of it and, catalog it, just so I can kind of remember where these all came from. Cause it gets to the point where it's like, okay, where is this red one from?
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome though. And I mean, 2,800 and hopefully in 2022, you'll have your certification with, I see a nice little open area behind you where I'm sure you're going to put your plaques. So next to that window.
Yeah, that might work. Yeah.
So that's amazing. And once again, thanks a lot for taking time to speak with me about, obviously, your very passionate thing about being a koozie collector and selling your koozies as well. I personally have no other questions for you today, so just let people know where they can find you.
Oh, well, damn, thanks for getting a hold of us. I've been watching your videos today. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, subscribe to your YouTube channel. I like the community that you're building out there. So that's awesome.
Doing what I can.
Yeah. You can find us through just brewskiblazers.com. That's probably your best way to do it. We're on Instagram and Facebook and all that other stuff. And then if you're in Canada, you can sign up to our email list. You can just go to Brewski, look for the koozie that's free. Just click on that one. We don't charge for postage or anything. You can just enter your email and your address and we'll mail you a free koozie. And then you'll get an email from us once a month with our new one sort of thing. So
there you go. For Canadian watchers, check out the website and get yourself free koozie from Brewski Blazers.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll set up a code for you guys too. So like if you guys, when you post this video, let's do all beer inside. All beer inside as your promo code will give you 10% off for any purchase you make there. So.
Yep. And for those watching the day this is released, happy Christmas tomorrow. For those who celebrate Christmas, because this is technically Christmas Eve for us. So
exciting.
Yeah, live to tape, as I like to say. So
yeah.
If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Comments always help as well. That helps with the numbers of YouTube because YouTube's weird like that. The website is allbeerinside.com, which is still being worked on. It will hopefully re-release in 2022. On all social media at All Beer Inside. And as I say at the end of all episodes, drink craft, not crap.